Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Talking Points for Heroes of the Storm. I'm Conrad from GosuGamers.
And I am Jacob, also from GosuGamers.
Today we're here to talk about eSports, the eSports scene coming up in the early parts of 2016 and beyond. You know that ever since the World Championship at BlizzCon, it's been a little stale. Had a little bit of a lull in terms of the eSports content.
Yeah, it's been a little bit slow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams disbanding and restructuring and whatnot. So it kind of, the actual centerpieces of the scenes have been shifting, and it's made things kind of weird. But it's cool because a lot of new teams are coming out of the wet work and really showing their stuff.
Yeah, especially in NA, with the Heroes Rising qualifiers and all of that event especially, I think has drawn out a lot of really good yet to be seen teams like Blank or Owl Noise,
As I call it.
as you call it.
I mean, if you want to, you can do the. How do you do it? I'm sorry, I'm so bad at this. How do you make the noise? Okay, yeah, that's the team name. I call them Owl Noise because I'm like inept at making that noise. So
Yeah. But nope, that is their team. They are Owls, I guess.
yeah,
I don't know, but they're a
that's
good
like their
team.
theme. Yeah,
They're a good team. They've more than shown their stuff in Enter the Storm NA and in Heroes Rising.
cool. So yeah, let's talk about a couple of the events coming up in terms of Heroes Esports. The first main one, like you were just talking about, is Heroes Rising coming up.
Yeah, that's in about a
Big
week.
crowd-funded event, really, really cool, and it's happening on January 9th to 10th. That's in just about a week's time.
Yeah, that'll be, I think, the first real like NA tournament for the ever since the big roster turnarounds and all that. I think that's also where, if I'm not mistaken, we'll see Tempo Storm for the first time play.
Yeah, I
So
was just about to say.
especially is going to be very, very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you were talking about, this event is really big because it's showing all the new and the old teams coming together for one big NA event. We have the old giants: Tempo Storm, Cloud9, Murloc Geniuses, COG, Panda Global. Most of them having restructured team lineup. And we have the new guys, Team Blaze, which they were pretty good before before the World Qualifier, but they weren't actually really in the limelight. We have Blaze, Team Blank, Bob Ross Fan Club obviously has been making a lot of traction, Kings of Blade Omega, and then Team Owl Noise. So 10 teams, all very good. It seems like this is going to be a really, really wonderful event with a lot of potential.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about this event is, there are, like you said, the big names in there, like Cloud9, and we don't know anything about Tempo Storm's new roster yet, or know very little. But I think it's safe to say that they're going to have a good roster, right? Like,
Yeah,
they're not going to put together a bad roster. So you have those two giants. You have, of course, Bob Ruff's fan club, who's definitely more than shown how capable they are in Into the Storm NA, where they just completely, like, almost trashed everybody.
yeah,
I mean, they're
really cleaned house.
there were some close calls here and there, but for the most part, it was a solid sweep on their part. But the thing is even though these teams are really good, I feel like there are still teams who are like more on the amateurish, semi-pro side, who I could see taking the tournament. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the tone right now is so up in the air, just because so many of these teams, like I've said, have been restructured. It seems like everybody's kind of on the same footing going into this. There's no momentum going in, like you could say, of the Americas Championships, where some teams that have been really dominating tournaments came in. I mean, the closest that we have here is probably Bob Ross Fan Club.
But even
they're
then,
dominant.
they've recently swapped out. Arthalon has gone to C9, and Fan has gone to Bob Ross. And those are two really good players, so I don't think this is going to affect them that much. But it is a restructuring, and
Absolutely.
you do kind of have to work out the kinks here and there. So I don't think there is a clear favorite going into this. Possibly Cloud9, just because they have that almost like Team Liquid back in spring, that sort of mentality of there's the prestige,
Yeah, absolutely.
they are the favorites just because they exist, because they are Cloud9.
And they're world champions. Like even with a restructured roster, like they have that going for them.
I still would not be surprised even if we saw some huge upset, and like Team Blank came out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm honestly really excited for it. Definitely the first tournament that I've really been excited for since the World Championships. If you guys want more info on that, you can go to our ticker and GosuGamers to check out more information as well as the bracket. You can also go to the actual Heroes Rising site. I don't have it on me off the top of my head, but I think you can go to they have like what, a Kickstarter?
They got a Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's how they primarily funded the tournament, was through crowdsourcing. So they have most of their info.
I think their main website is eSports Arena.
Esports Arena
event and who's hosting it.
That makes sense, yeah.
Totally sure on that. Let me check real quick.
Sure. So while you're checking that, I'll just go over the next big event that's happening after Heroes Rising is the end of Gold League in China, or at least this part of Gold League, the playoffs, which is cool. It's mostly Chinese teams, so not a lot of people in NA, really keep up with the Chinese scene, at least from what I've seen. But we do have Cloud9 is coming back for that, which is really cool. Team Edward, Zero Gaming, Oh My God, Team YL, Team E-Star, and Team No Limit. That's you can see that's 7 teams. It was 8 teams, but Team Asia Stardust, which was also part, they disbanded.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because they were supposed to face off against Cloud9 in one of the 2 games at the beginning of the playoffs. So Cloud9 is probably going to have a free win going in,
which will be good for morale, I guess.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think they would have rather played the game just to not only get some practice in, but also to make sure they've got all the kinks sorted out of their new roster. Well,
yeah,
new roster, I say, but it's just Arthalon being brought in, but still, you got to work through a little bit.
Yeah, and like jet lag and whatnot, going across the countries, across continents definitely affects you, and not having a game to really practice on before you get super into it. Like, I don't know, I would have, if I was in their case, I probably would have wanted to play the game anyway. But hey, a free win never hurts. I guess
you can't beat a free win.
Yeah,
I mean, let's be real. I do want to say one thing before we go forward. It is esportsarena.com. It has all the info. Great.
That sounds good. For Gold League, I'm not quite sure if they have a website that is accessible for people in NA. But you can check out our match ticker again for more information on Gold League. GosuGamers.com/Heroes of the Storm, and more information about the tournament there. And then finally, we have Enter the Storm number 4, EU. Our pride and joy is coming up. The qualifiers have been going on. There's still a couple more, at least one more coming up. The 6th qualifier is actually happening tomorrow. And the group stage and the playoffs will be happening in February, which is pretty exciting. And the top 8 teams currently are Na'Vi, Fnatic, Bubble Squad, Team Liquid, Sandwich Monkey, CDN, Goofers, and VP, Virtus Pro. So a couple of familiar names there. Some not so familiar, but hey, the scene has shifted. What do you think of these teams coming in so far? I mean, obviously, we still have more to see in the qualifiers, so there could be other teams. But right now, those are the standings of the top 8 teams.
So I don't really want to beat around the bush here. I think there are a clear 3, maybe 4 favorites going into this tournament. You obviously Fnatic. I mean, those guys, they're really something else. Them and Na'Vi, they often butt heads. Both very, very strong teams. Team Liquid, of course, super, super, super strong.
Yeah.
It's really between those 3 that are like the trifecta. They're always, one of them beats the other one, but then this one beats this one, and it's always going back and forth. Never a really clear winner there, at least in recent times.
Yeah.
So I think
in
the end, it'll be one of those 3 who will take the tournament more than likely. I think the only wild card really is Sandwich Monkeys, which is ADRD's new team. ADRD can never be discounted because that guy is just a monster.
Oh, he's absolutely a monster.
Great captain, great at drafting, really good player, and I wouldn't discredit any team that he's on just because they would always have the ability to beat a high skill team.
Yeah. I think that's definitely something to keep in mind. I completely agree with you on Navi, Fnatic, and Liquid, though. These guys are obviously, they have the quality of, they've done a lot of work in the past, especially before and during the World Championships. So they are seasoned teams, and they have very good lineup. I am interested to see Bubble Squad there in the number 3 spot right now. I haven't seen much of their play, but I can assume that from their standing that they're pretty solid. It'll be interesting to see how they do going forward as well. But obviously Navi and Fnatic for me, like I just love every single match I watch with these two teams. They like when they face off, it's like the stars align. It's incredible.
Oh yeah, every single one of them are really really good.
Yeah.
So the thing about Bubble Squad is they are strong, but the only teams they've really gone up against have been other semi-pro teams, which could explain why they're doing so well. The only time they've gone up against Team Liquid, they lost very, very decisively.
Boom.
So most of their wins have been against like Goofers and VH Gaming, CDN. So not like top tier teams. It's always been semi-pro. Not to say that they couldn't surprise us and win. I mean, anything's really possible, but I do think it's going to be those 3 major heavy hitters in Europe who are going to end up taking this tournament.
Yeah, completely agreed. All right, yeah. So those are the 3 main tournaments coming up that are really on the radar. We also have the Global Championship circuit that I'd like to talk about really quickly. At the World Championship at BlizzCon, Kim did talk about how they want to expand the eSports lineup for Heroes of the Storm going forward, and how they want to have 3 different World Championships a year. One in the spring, one in the summer, one in the fall. So they haven't really mentioned a lot about what they want to do since then. In fact, I don't think they've mentioned anything. But it is something to keep in mind, especially with the spring. Like obviously we have all of January and February to go, but the spring is coming up. So it'll be interesting to see what they say about that going forward.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we can expect from the World Championship will be shown in whoever comes out on top in these recent tournaments. You know, in NA, the Heroes Rising event, whoever the top players there are will likely end up doing very well in the World Championship. Same thing with Into Storm EU number 4. And I think even to some extent, again, same thing in Gold Series. Even though I know Cloud9 is going to be there, you can still get a really good picture of what the scene in China's like. You know, who's on top and who from that region will have the best shot of winning World Championship. Which, let's be real, is 2 caveats there. One, if they can even get a visa.
Oh gosh,
if it's in anywhere but China, and 2, it's probably gonna be Edward Gaming, right? Like, or
yeah.
not Edward, E-Star.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, it's probably gonna be E-Star because E-Star.
But hey, maybe we'll see something, come up.
So good.
Yeah, right. Very, very good. But maybe we'll see something come up going forward. I'm just excited to see what they actually have to say about it coming. Hopefully soon.
Are there any Korean tournaments coming up? I actually don't know.
Not that I know of off the top of my head. There might be, but I have not heard much.
Because that's also a very real possibility that MVP Black or No Limit could easily, win a world championship.
For sure. Oh yeah. All right. Well, just by the way, I forgot to mention, if you'd like to find more information about Enter the Storm 4 EU, feel free to check out eu.ets.gg. If you or your team, if you have a team that would like to qualify, we do have at least one more qualifier coming up tomorrow. So you can definitely enter there if you would like as well. But thank you everybody for watching the second episode of Gosu Talks. I hope you're as excited for the future of Heroes Esports as we are. And as always, have a great day.
See ya.